So I am going to make a quick video, hopefully like 15 minutes or less, while most of my kids are sleeping. The baby is awake, so he's having frozen blueberries right now. He's very happy. So I wanted to make a quick video because I've had people ask me questions about homeschooling, especially since I homeschooled Reagan for preschool last year. And I wanted to talk about the difference in what I did with her and what I'm going to do this year with Asher, and then what I'm doing with her with kindergarten. I need to grab her binder from preschool. Hold on. Okay, so this is what I used with Reagan last year for pre-K. Technically she would have been, I guess, K4 age, but grades they matter, but they don't matter that much in homeschool. So this is what she did last year, and this program was called That It May Go Well, and it was one that I found by a homeschool mom who had written the curriculum. Very Bible-based, which was nice. I liked that about it. Very worksheet heavy, which was great for Reagan because she likes to sit and work on pages. I didn't think it was going to work with Asher. So even going through it with Reagan, I knew I would probably end up changing it up with Asher and doing something different. Okay, the oldest one woke up. So anyway, so a lot of the work, if I can find, okay, so the curriculum information that came with this program, it said it was a 27-week long program, 2 to 3 days a week, designed for ages 3 to 4, roughly an hour each day. So Reagan was 4 years old. It had a lot of Bible knowledge and memory, numbers taught 0 through 20. It did the entire alphabet, so it was a letter a week. That's how they got the length of the curriculum. So you would do 1 letter a week, and you would do a number a week, and then once you ran out of the numbers, because of the extra 7 weeks, it started with like basic addition. It would give you a memory verse, start with prayer, worship, Bible reading, practice the following things: scripture memory verse, armor of God, fruits of the Spirit, the alphabet, count to 20, read a book, show them the letters of the alphabet as you read, and then it would give you the daily things that you would want to do along with those weekly things. And it was a lot. I narrowed it down with Reagan. It would give you all of these memory charts, like the Lord's Prayer, the days of creation, armor of God, and it would give you like 3 of these a week to do each day, and I would just narrow them down to 1 or 2 in the morning that I was thinking fruits of the Spirit. We did a lot. I didn't want to do an hour a day for pre-K for her. That's just a lot. So I wanted to narrow it down. So that was what I used with her, and she did great with it. It was, obviously I said I narrowed it down, so we didn't do all of the daily things, but she did finish the whole program, and she did all of the letters and the numbers. That said, it did start her on tracing and copying, and I don't think that Asher is in the place that she was when she was doing pre-K, and looking back, she was frustrated with copy work. So pre-K, a lot of the tracing and then the letter writing, she liked to trace the letters a lot. She would trace and trace and trace. When it came to actually writing the letters by herself, she's a perfectionist, and she would get frustrated when it didn't come out right. So towards the end of the year, and then into the spring when we finished up in March. Yes, I think it was March when we finished up her preschool, and she continued on with her writing, and it actually got better after the school year was over. So she enjoys writing letters now. She writes them. If she has a piece of paper and a pencil or pen, she's just going to start writing the alphabet. I liked the program, but I knew I wasn't going to use it for Asher. So that came into like, okay, what am I going to use? I considered not using any curriculum with him, but he does like to sit with us and do schoolwork. Even when Reagan was doing pre-K work and he wasn't doing anything, he liked to sit with us and kind of join in on the school day. So he looked forward to school. So at first I was printing him pages out that would match Reagan's, and he would kind of follow along and just do his own coloring. But he would get kind of bored and move off and do his own thing, which is fine. So I'm going to do a flip through on the curriculum books to show you what they look like and show you what I'm doing now. I will also mention I did Hooked On Phonics with Reagan along with this program, and it was a lot. I liked both, but they didn't necessarily mesh together very well. So the alphabet on this program is A through Z, uppercase letters only. Hooked On Phonics starts with lowercase because they're more common in reading, and it goes in a completely different order. So she was not doing the same letters in Hooked On Phonics that she was doing with the other curriculum. So that was the one drawback. I liked both, but I didn't necessarily like them together. So I wouldn't do that again. I liked the Hooked On Phonics curriculum, it just didn't mesh with this. And so I think if you were going to choose those, I would maybe do one or the other. And I would honestly maybe suggest sticking with Hooked On Phonics and doing a memory verse, and maybe even printing out the memory charts that come with this program and doing those instead, like the fruits of the spirit, the Bible verses, things like that, but not doing the actual worksheets that go with this, and not doing everything, but maybe just doing the Hooked On Phonics and then doing the scripture memory verses, because that was our focus, was the numbers and then the alphabet and phonics sounds and our memory verses. So you don't have to have all of that, and it had other projects in there that we didn't get to or didn't finish, so maybe too much for pre-K, but it was still a good program. I still liked it. So what I am doing with Asher this year is the Abeka for 3s, and this comes with 3 books. I think there's a larger curriculum set. I didn't look into that one as much as I did the K5 because that was my priority, was getting Reagan a curriculum. Asher, like I said, I was considering not doing any curriculum, but I looked at these books, and I talked to my mom about it, and she homeschooled us off and on, and she also taught Abeka in Christian schools, so she was familiar with the program, very familiar with the curriculum, and so we looked at it, and I ended up deciding that I did want to use the actual textbooks, because they weren't as not advanced. I don't want to say they're not advanced, but maybe not as complicated and as much worksheet heavy as I thought they would be, especially for his age. So with the 3-year-olds, it's very, very simple stuff. And I'm going to go through a flip through with this as well, but like just for an example, this is one sheet. It's a single page. It's just the trace, and that's it. And it's just saying A for astronaut, and that's like a day, I think. Yeah, so it's literally, and then the next day is B for bone. So very, very like simple. It just gives him something to reference, and it's cute pictures, it's engaging. So that's letters and sounds. He's got the numbers and skills. This is going through teaching 1 through 15, which is where he needs his work. He recognizes, he can count higher than he can recognize the numbers. So that's where we want to kind of go through this and help him recognize and kind of associate, like, okay, 1, 2, 2, and counting. So this is going to be good for him. I think he'll really enjoy this, both of these. And then I think his favorite part might be the child art for 3s. And this has got a lot of little projects. There's coloring. It kind of goes along with the other stuff, so counting and coloring. There's going to be like gluing cotton onto the lamb, things like that. And this isn't every day. He doesn't do any of these books every single day. So he'll have probably 2 or 3 days a week of schoolwork, and he'll be able to sit with Reagan and I and do memory verse and prayer and the phonics alphabet, and then our read alouds, and then he'll be able to just work on his little sheets while Reagan is doing her curriculum, and I can sit and really focus in with her, but he's still part of it, and he's joining us in the school day. So I think he's really going to enjoy this program a lot more than he would the one I used with Reagan. So I'm excited to try this with him, and see how they compare, and see how he does with just joining in officially with actually being part of school this year. So I'm excited about that. Okay, so this is the pre-K books. This is what Asher is going to be doing this year. And so I wanted to show kind of what this looks like. He's also got, I already pulled out the first 4 weeks into these binders because I'm going to organize those by week so that when we get through our morning prayer and memory verse and everything, we can go into these binders and pick out the first week of work and find the day that we're on, which I have written down. I need to put these into a planner, but this is how I'm lesson planning currently because I don't have the teacher manual, which I purposefully didn't buy, but I needed to organize my days some way, and so that's how I'm doing it right now. But this is the pre-K curriculum, and so he'll be learning the letter, and we can trace these with our finger, we can trace them like that. He gets the sound, he gets to associate it with all of these sounds. It'll be going through the alphabet. The pictures are cute. I think the book is very engaging. It's like thick pages. And so he'll be doing those. Very, very simple. The numbers and skills. And then the child art for 3s, which I did want to show. I'll flip through a little bit of this, but I did show this one where you're gluing the cotton on. A lot of it's just coloring, but there is some other little projects that go into this. But it is very coloring heavy, which is fine for that age. But I did want to show the beginning of his schoolwork. So the first 2 weeks is filling out this little book, which is super cute, of colors and shapes. And so it's going to be week 1 is just doing the colors. I apologize for the baby. Hi. So it'll be going through each color. And then in week 2, he'll finish up his little book by doing the shapes. And so that would be these. And there's some gluing involved, and then there's some gluing the shapes. He'll learn each of these shapes. And then this is the back of the book. And then when he starts week 3, he'll actually go into the letters and the numbers and take a break on art for a week, and then he'll go back to art in week 4. But this is his first 2 weeks is just making this book, which is very cute, and I think he'll love that. And that gives me a chance to get Reagan kind of get into her routine with school, but gives him something to work on. So this is Reagan's K5 letters and sounds. She'll also be doing cursive this year, which I didn't explain too much in the other one. She did start with manuscript, but one of the reasons why I chose to do cursive this year, she has like a natural sort of like flowy way of writing. She doesn't want to lift the pen when she's writing, so she has a hard time sometimes with the order of writing the letters. And so I wanted to give this a try and see if it's more natural for her. And I wanted to start it early enough that it wouldn't be so difficult to switch back and forth, because I think it's a good skill to have. And so it'll have the formation guide here. She'll start out with the letter I like she does in letters and sounds, and then it'll eventually progress into writing sentences in cursive. So we'll just see how this goes this year. She's also got the extra tablet for practice. So this will be something we can do as needed to give her some extra practice. Her numbers and skills. This is the K-5 math. And then the art projects will probably start in the second part of our first quarter. So our first quarter is starting July 21st. And the reason for that, I forget if I mentioned already, I'm supposed to have puppies due the third week of August with our golden retrievers. And so I wanted to take that week off to recover from not getting as much sleep and doing some planning and just kind of focus on that. So we'll be doing July 21st up until like mid-August, and then taking that third week off and then coming back in the end of August. And that's when I think I'll start with the art for her, because it is very seasonal. So, you know, Christmas wreath for Christmas, Valentine's for February, and so on. So and the same thing with Asher. She won't be doing this every day. She won't have all of these books every day. She will have cursive every day starting on day 4. And then she will have letters one day and numbers a different day. And then the art projects are not, I don't even think they're every week. So that's what she's got going on with her main part of her curriculum. And then this is the reading program. So it starts with the I Learn to Read books. I do read and I can read well, and these will progress. And then she has the handbook for reading, which this is the alphabet chart I was talking about with every morning I'll start this with the kids after we do our prayer and memory verse. We'll go through the alphabet. So we'll have a daily review of that, and then I can go in with Reagan and kind of hone in on these short vowels to start as she goes through her language arts and reading. And then we'll do these little pages going, you know, corresponding with whatever letter she's on in her work. And then she has the blended word book, which once she gets onto the consonants, we'll really lean into this a lot more. And then her memory verse cards. This is something we'll do every morning, picking a verse to study and memorize. And so these will be probably corresponding with whatever letter that Asher is in his book, because he'll go in order. And we'll review these throughout the year. So that is the Abeka curriculum. The last thing I want to show real quickly is our devotionals that we'll do in the morning. So this would be after prayer and memory verse. And then this is our reading, just read aloud books. So this is the books that we'll be doing this year so far. This is what I have right now for our reading this year for read alouds. We're going to start with Winnie the Pooh, which we've already started reading. Maybe a couple months back we started with the first chapter, and so we'll go back into that and read through this one to begin with, and then we'll probably read on some of these other ones as we finish this one up. And then I'm going to be adding to this. I've got a list of books I want to try to find at the library, so we have that as well. So this is just what I have in my collection currently, and that list will grow as we work through these books and read them together, probably before nap time or before bedtime, and so I'm excited about those as well. Okay, so I hope that was not super long, and I hope that answered any questions anyone had about what we're doing and how it's changed. because I know I had some questions about Reagan's preschool year and what we were doing for homeschool. So if you have any more questions about the actual curriculum, or you want to see like how a day goes in the future, we'll be starting kind of in the middle of mid to late July. So I may make a video about like our daily routine with that once we get established. So anyway, I hope that wasn't too boring and that it made sense. So that's all I got for today. So thanks.